Radhe Radhe, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam.
Welcome to Shri Radha Vino Bihari Mandir, Gopinath Bhavan, Shri Vrindavan Dham.
Jai Ho.
Let me see if I can turn this off.
I think that might be better.
Shri Gurudev ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Rupanuga Gauriya Guru Varga ki jai, Pati Pavan Shri Nityananda Prabhu ki jai, Prem Purushottam Shachinandana Gaura Hari ki jai, Radha Vino Bihari Ju ki jai, Radha Ramana Ju ki jai, Giriraj Mahārāja ki jai, Harinam Sankirtana ki jai, Hare Krishna Mahamantra ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Shri Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bo. So we're beginning with Mangalacharan, page 1 of this book, Shri Gauriya Giti Guccha, Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavaśta Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahavano Raghunathan Vidhankam Sajivam Savetam Samadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahavano Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitanscha Om Adhyana Timirandhasya Dhyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Śrīmad Bhaktivedānta Nārāyaṇa Nityanamine Shri Krishna Lila Katane Sudarsham Bhaudarya Madhurya Gunashtra Yuktam Varam Purusham Mahantam Nārāyaṇam Tvam Shirasham Namami Tridandinam Bhakta Shiromancha Shri Krishna Pada Vipataikahri Chaitanya Lila Amrita Sarasaram Nārayaṇam Tvam Satatam Prapadye Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedānta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Vishnupadaya Gaurapresthaya Bhutale Shri Śrīmad Bhakti Pragya Keshavarti Namine Bhakti Marta Charitraya Swashritanancha Paline Jiva Dukhe Saganataya Shri Nama Prema Daine Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Namine Shri Varshabharavi Devi Daitaya Kripabhane Krishna Sambandha Vijnanam Daine Brahmave Namaha Madhurya Jvala Premadhya Shri Rupanuga Bhaktivedānta Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostute Namaste Gauravani Shri Murtaye Dinatarine Rupanugam Virudhapo Siddhanto Dvantaharine Namo Gaur Kishoraya Sakshat Vairagya Murtaye Vipralambhara Sambodhe Padambujayate Namaha Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Satchidananda Namine Gaura Shakti Swarupaya Rupanugambharayate Gaura Virbhava Swam Nirdesha Sajana Priya Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Shri Jaganathaya Te Namaha Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyanev cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahamadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratmishe Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kantho Radha Kantho Namostute Ganga Gaurami Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Jayakam Surato Mango Mama Mandam Matirgati Matsarvasva Padambojo Radha Madana Mohano Divya Vrindaranya Kalpadrumadam Śrīmad Ratnagara Sinhasanastho Shri Śrī Radha Śrīla Govindadeva Presthānibhi Sevyamano Smarami Shri Mandra Sarasarambhe Vanshivatatvakastitaha Karshannenu Smarayoti Gopinatha Shri Estunaha Vrindaye Tulasidevyai Priyayai Keshavasya cha Krishna Bhakti Prade Devi Satyavatyai Namo Namaha Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Cheto Darpanamarjanam Bhava Mahādavam Nirvapanam Shreya Kairava Chandrika Vikarnam Vidyavadhum Jivanam Anandam Budhivardhanam Pratibadam Purnamritashvadanam Sarvatma Snapanam Param Balo nastyeva 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 gatiranyatha. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. गुरुदेव कृपा करके मुझको अपना लेना, page 360 in this songbook. If you don't have the songbook, then you may have to go to your Kirtan app. If you don't have that, of course we always have Jiva Pavana Prabhu. Let me just see if he's here. Thank you. Dandavat Pranam Jiva Pavana Prabhu. So Jiva Pavana Prabhu posts the bhajans in the comment section of the thread along with their translations, and generally followed by beautiful commentaries from our acharyas. So just scroll through his most recent post and you will find the bhajan there. Yes? You might want to check out what's going on.
I am.
What?
It's totally fine.
Okay.
Dandavat Pranam, dear Vaishnavas.
गुरुदेव कृपा करके मुझको अपना लेना। गुरुदेव कृपा करके मुझको अपना लेना। कृपा करके तुमको अपना लेना। तुम सुख के सागर हो, भक्ति के सहारे हो। तुम सुख के सागर Shri Gurudev ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Rupanuga Guru Varga ki jai, Shri Guru Parampara ki jai. Evaro Kuruna Karo Vaishnava Goshaya. I don't know which page that is. 44. Evaro Karuna Kuru Vaishnava Goshaya. Evaro Karuna Kuru Vaishnava Goshaya. Patita Yang Kalirupa Sharira Nadharata. Śrī Rupa Gosvāmī Pad Ki Jai, page 47, Young Kali Rupa. It's a different rag than you might be familiar with, but anyhow. Yang Kali Rupa Śrīla Sanātana Yang Kali Rupa Śrīla Sanātana Yang Kali Rupa Śrīla Sanātana Yang Kali Rupa Śrīla Sun nidhayo Onam pritod kari payo to Onam pritod kari payo to O sabdyaji bhaji vrindavan O sabdyaji bhaji vrindavan O sabgrantha virajita O sabgrantha virajita Yang kali rupa Śrīla Yang kali rupa Śrīla Jagabhituvana pura Kalatanana virgo Jagabhituvana pura Kalatanana virgo Jagabhituvana pura Kalatanana virgo Jagabhituvana pura Kalatanana virgo Manoraji arobindo Manoraji arobindo Somadhugar vinu par kon jano Somadhugar vinu par kon jano Vidyamano kari bandha Vidyamano kari bandha Yang kali rupa Śrīla Yang kali rupa Śrīla Mathura Prabhupada ki jai. Today's a very windy day. I got a bit of dust in my lungs. Hare Krishna. So now we're going to call out for the mercy of Śrī Nityananda Prabhu. And I'm not sure yet what's going to manifest. It looks like Boro Sukher Kabor Gai. Page 164 in this book. Boro Sukher Kabor Gai. By Śrīla Bhaktivedānta Thakur. 164. Shraddha matra loye de चौके जाओ, एक बार देख ले चौके जाओ, एक बार देख ले चौके जाओ, एक बार देख ले चौके जाओ। गौरव रे निताय दे सकल संग, गौरव रे निताय दे सकल संग। दिन शुभ कृष्ण शिक्षा, दिन शुभ कृष्ण शिक्षा, दिन शुभ कृष्ण शिक्षा, दिन शुभ कृष्ण शिक्षा। जाति धन विद्या ना करे अपेक्षा, जाति धन विद्या ना करे अपेक्षा। अमली छाए माया जाल, अमली छाए माया जाल, अमली छाए माया जाल, अमली छाए माया जाल। गृहे थाको मने थाको ना थाके जंजाल, गृहे थाको मने थाको ना थाके जंजाल। आर नाई को कलिर भय, आर नाई को कलिर भय, आर नाई को कलिर भय, आर नाई को कलिर भय। आज चंदा दे देना निताय दयामो, आज चंदा दे देना निताय दयामो। भक्ति विलोरा की को, भक्ति विलोरा की को, भक्ति विलोरा की को, भक्ति विलोरा की को। निताय चंदेर चरण बिना यार नहीं आश्रय, निताय चंदेर चरण बिना यार नहीं आश्रय। मोरो सुखेर खबर गाय, मोरो सुखेर खबर गाय, मोरो सुखेर खबर गाय, मोरो सुखेर खबर गाय। সুরভি কুঞ্জেতে নামের হাত তুলেছে, সুরভি কুঞ্জেতে নামের হাত তুলেছে। খোদনে তার, খোদনে তার, খোদনে তার, খোদনে তার। বড় সুখে খবর গায়, বড় সুখে খবর গায়, বড় সুখে খবর গায়, বড় সুখে খবর গায়। সুরভি কুঞ্জেতে নামের হাত তুলেছে, সুরভি কুঞ্জেতে নামের হাত তুলেছে। খোদনে তার, খোদনে তার, খোদনে তার, খোদনে তার। নিতাই হে, নিতাই হে, নিতাই হে, নিতাই হে, নিতাই হে, নিতাই হে, জয় নিত্যানন্দ রাম, জয় নিত্যানন্দ রাম, নিত্যানন্দ রাম, জয় নিত্যানন্দ রাম, জয় নিত্যানন্দ রাম, নিত্যানন্দ রাম, জয় নিত্যানন্দ রাম, জয় নিত্যানন্দ রাম। पतित पावन श्री नित्यानंद प्रभु की जय। Sundara Lala Sachiradulala Nachata Shri Hari Kirtaname. In the Hindi bhajan section. And page 361 in our songbook. Śrī Satyavrata Muni ki jai. It's an intense message, Śrī Prabhu. I have a choice to follow on the solar and lunar. I can't do it twice. So, but yes, very, very intense. 361, Sundara Lala. Sundara Lala, Shachira Dulala, Nachat Shri Hari Kirtaname. Sundara Lala, Shachira Dulala, Nachat Shri Hari Kirtaname. Sanātana Gosvāmī Jai. As I was singing Jai Sachinandana Jai Gaura Hari and Gaura Hai, I was thinking, remembering that we focus so much on this part of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's life. Gauranga, Vishvambhar, Sachinandan, Gaura Hari, the Navadvip pastimes. Although so much is written about what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is experiencing in Puri as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And all of his discussions and all of his instructions come from the time after he received sannyas. So what is the speciality of Sachinandan Gaurahari versus the sannyasi, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? In terms of our aspiration, our particular goal. According to Srila Bhaktivedānta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, in the introduction to Sri Brahma Samhita, from where our Srila Prabhupada got that the materialistic deminar cannot possibly stretch to the transcendental autocrat. That, it's in the beginning of that. In there it says that the speciality of those who come in this line, the Rupanuga line, Gauriya Vaishnavas, in the wake of the teachings of Sachinandan Gaurahari Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, there is a particular speciality which might be very difficult for us to understand as individual single units of consciousness. But he says that in terms of our goal, because some people were asking, where do we go? Do we go to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or Gaur Lila, or do we go to Radha and Krishna Lila? So for some who have a proclivity toward Gaur Lila, and it is their intrinsic nature, they will naturally go in that direction. For others who have a proclivity toward Radha Krishna Lila, they will naturally go in that direction. And for those who have a proclivity toward both, those who are coming in the line of Śrīla Rupa Gosvāmī, they will go to both. Now that's a little bit confusing, isn't it? How can I have two separate forms and two separate eternal leelas? Even in this material world, if you studied light particle theory, which I haven't done, but I did take physics courses in university, and I did read about these light particle theories, they have beamed one particular photon, it's one particle of light, at a particular kind of plate. And that same particle, it's only one, is manifested somehow in 2 points at the same time. That idea can be constructed or understood by material physics, or at least seen. Now we have to look at the transcendental realm. Sri Krishna, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all of the eternal associates of Krishna and Mahaprabhu are all eternal. Krishna expands himself unlimitedly, but he's never alone. Along with those unlimited expansions, or non-different manifestations of himself, all of his eternal associates are also expanded. Srila Bhaktivedānta Saraswati Prabhupada speaks about this, how Krishna is present within every atom of creation. And he's not alone. Also Vrindavan is there. And who is in Vrindavan? All of Krishna's transcendental associates. Not only in this universe, in another universe at the same time. It's not a different Nanda Baba or a different Yashoda. One Yashoda, one Srimati Radhika, one Krishna, but unlimitedly expanded. And these jivas, us, in our transcendental pure state, will also not be bound the way we are bound now into this body, which is very constricting and restrictive. We can only see out of these two holes in our head. Well, how can Krishna see? Angani yasya sakalendriya vritti manti pashyanti panti kalayanti chidam jaganti ananda chinmaya sadujvala vigrahasya govindam adi purusham tamaham bhajami. Any sense or any part of his body can fulfill the function of any other sense. We can only hear from here. We can only taste from here and speak from here and smell from here. But the transcendental form can experience from all parts of itself because it is not bound by the limiting material body. It's a hard concept to understand from one perspective, but think about it in terms of clay. You can take clay and you can make any shape with it, but every part of that shape is clay. And so instead of limiting the senses to just hear, the entire thing is made of all of it. So all of the components are present within every part of it. Every particle of clay and every chemical makeup, you can say, of that is present throughout all of it. So technically, although it has form and shape, still it is not limited by that form and shape. Not only that, but because of consciousness and mind, the thinking capacity. In the transcendental state, that thinking capacity is only focused on the loving service of Krishna. And yet, we know that everything that is pure and transcendental has the capacity to fulfill all desires. Every tree, every cow, every personality, every particle of dust, every pure Vaishnava, manchakalpatarubhyascha, kripasindhubhya evacha. They're also able to fulfill all desires. Not only that, even those things that we cannot necessarily see, like Harinam, also is capable of manifesting all desires. The transcendental realm is really beyond our wildest imaginations, but some ideas have been given to us. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada explained that those who have proclivity toward Gaur Lila and Radha Krishna Lila, they will manifest eternally in both pastimes. That means there's an eternal plane of Gaur Lila. And that eternal plane is known as Svetadvip or Navadvip. And so the eternal pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and I'm using this term very carefully, the eternal pastimes or the original pastimes are the pre-sannyas lila pastimes of Navadvip. And so when we are focusing on Jai Shachinandan Jai Gaura Hari and Gauranga, in that way, there's a speciality of the Navadvip pastimes, which are very sweet and very simple and carefree, like Krishna's Vrindavan pastimes. So in the same way that Krishna in Vrindavan is considered not the same as Krishna in Mathura or Dwarka, there's a verse in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita very specifically declaring this point. He's not the same, because the original Krishna never steps one footstep outside of Vrindavan. So there are other aspects, you can call them manifestations of the original, who go to other places. Same with Srimati Radhika. There's Rishabhanu Nandini, Samyogini and Viyogini aspects of Srimati Radhika. So in a similar way, the original Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is actually his sannyas name. The original Sachinandan Gaurahari always remains in Nitya Navadvip Dham. And from there, his own manifestation, you can say, is going to other locations, like Puri Dham. And there in Nagambir, he's experiencing or endeavoring to experience the bhavs, the moods of Srimati Radhika's love and affection for Krishna, while he is being coached by Swarup Damodar and Rai Ramananda, and sometimes Gadadhar Pandit. So, Jiva Pāvana Prabhu posts some. Okay. That's a conversation with Tamal Krishna Maharaj and our Srila Gurudev. But what about Mahaprabhu? I cannot grasp this point because Radha and Krishna are in Golok, Vrindavan, and Vrindavan is manifest here. So a certain portion of Golok is Navadvip. Gurudev, he can also go there in the form you saw. I have belief in this. So he's talking about our Srila Prabhupada. And if anything is hidden, he will reveal it when there is need. I remember Srila Gurudev saying something to the effect, maybe it's here. Isn't it obvious? This is his form in Gaur Lila.
He said it to Mother Kārtika.
He said that to Mother Kārtika. So his form in Gaur Lila is obvious that this is a very prominent pastime in Gaur Lila. So we have seen our Gurudev always serving, always thinking of Mahaprabhu and always preaching his instructions and mission. In Gaur Lila, Rupa Goswami and Sanatan served him by rendering many services, among which was writing literature. And your Gurudev has also done all of these things. When he was in Gaur Lila at that time, it is not sure that he would have performed that same service. He played this role now. So in Mahaprabhu's Navadvip Lila, maybe he may not have done so. He has preached throughout the entire world. Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami only served in Navadvip, here in Mayapur, in Vrindavan, and in Puri. And your Gurudev served all over the world. We need not imagine anything. It's plainly obvious. We should understand that in the sadhak sharir that we have seen and realized, he has served Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And if he has any other form as a parikar at the time of Mahaprabhu in Gaur Lila, he will reveal that to you when he will think it proper to do so. Srila Gurudev glorifies Srila Prabhupada so beautifully, with so much honor and faith and affection. Gurudev has also established that Mahaprabhu predicted that my name will be chanted in every town and village. Sarvatra prachar, hoibe mor naam. My name will be repeated in every town and village of this world. He made that prediction, and who fulfilled that prediction? So in the same way that Narottam Das Thakur, according to our timeline, never physically saw Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but by his intense calling, his kirtan, and his service, Mahaprabhu appeared to him. Mahaprabhu left his praying for Narottam Das Thakur, although Narottam never personally saw him. But he is a prominent figure of Gaur Lila for us. In a similar way, our Srila Prabhupada, we don't know if he is there inside as the parikar, or if this is his Gaur Lila form, or maybe both. Why not? Our Srila Prabhupada also explained that technically we, the jivas, are not limited. Of course, we know that we have a sthayi bhav. It means a fixed eternal form in the transcendental realm. But within that sthayi bhav, or on that platform of a fixed transcendental form, there's something known as sanchari bhav. It means so many other moods are there. If a desire manifests to serve Krishna in any particular way, can another form not manifest to serve? Is it possible? It must be possible. In this realm, maybe it's not possible. But if a desire manifests in the heart, then you can see, oh, this personality may be able to take any other form and serve in that form according to the necessity of seva. So Srila Prabhupada did speak about this. The transcendental realm and the eternality of the soul and its relationship with Krishna is not limited to time, space, or anything that we conceive of in terms of being limited by the mundane conditioning. It is all dependent on seva, love and affection. But thank you, Jiva Pāvana Prabhu, for posting that. So now we will call out for Krishna. Jai Jai Sundara Nanda Kumar, page 344. 344 by Śrīla Rupa Gosvāmī. Jaya Jaya Sundara Nanda Kumar, 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 Nanda Kumar, Nanda Kumar, Nanda Kumar, Nanda Kumar, Jaya Jaya Sundara Sundara Nanda Kumar, Saurabha Sankata Vrindavano Kato, Saurabha Sankata Vrindavano Kato, Vihita Vasanto Vihar, Vihita Vasanto Vihar, Jaya Jaya Sundara Nanda Kumar, Jaya Jaya Sundara Nanda Kumar, Abhinava Putmana Uchasamujvala, Abhinava Putmana Uchasamujvala, Kunchitam Kuntalabha, Kunchitam Kuntalabha, Pranayi Janerito Chandana Saha Krito, Pranayi Janerito Chandana Saha Krito, Churnito Bharaghano Sar, Churnito Bharaghano Sar, Jaya Jaya Sundara Nanda Kumar, Jaya Jaya Sundara Nanda Kumar, Chaturadriganchala Rachitarasonchala, Chaturadriganchala Rachitarasonchala, Radha Madana Vikar, Radha Madana Vikar, Kumara Page 112. Radhika Charana Renu Bhushana Koriyatanu by Śrīla Narottam Das Thakur. Dandavat Pranam Devaki, Dandavat Pranam. Radhe Radhe. Oh, I think this one was difficult to find previously. There's KK songs and there's Vaishnava songs.com, I think. Radhika Charana Renu Bhushana Koriyatanu Radhika Charana Renu Bhushana Koriyatanu Anayase Now we've come to that point again. Actually, I'm going to play the drum for this. We are going to sing Śrī Dāmodarāṣṭakam, page 290. For those of you who want to know why, it's because we are still in the process of studying Śrī Dāmodarāṣṭakam. We are still in the purport of verse 4, starting from the beginning of Kartik, but because we were going out during our class time, we weren't able to really speed through it, which we don't want to do anyway.
No. It's not about that. It's because Kishori takes about
A year.
4 months to 6 months for one book, if that.
Because our acharyas have told us that we should study their books.
I'm just putting it into perspective.
So, there's a difference between studying and reading.
Yes.
If we just read through, it can be very quick. But if we go into each point and really dive into it, then those points can actually make impressions. I've read many different books of Srila Prabhupada, for example, skimming through the surface, and then when Srila Gurudev was lecturing on them, he would take one word. I remember this was my first time actually sitting and actively listening to a class of Srila Gurudev. It was in 1996 when he went to Seattle. And Sudevi had already run away and joined the Gaudiya Math.
We were married.
We were already married, but I was really confused, because she was living in Los Angeles at the time and I was working in Seattle. And she basically quit work, quit everything, and went to Srila Gurudev. And she had already been chanting a lot every day and really praying and dedicating her mind and her heart. And Gurudev recognized her endeavor, and so he awarded her with Harinama Diksha, which really confused me because I was accustomed to a minimum of 6 months to a year mandatory requirement. And I didn't mind that in essence, but the speed and everything, I was really confused. And so Sudevi and I exchanged a lot of letters at that time, and she kept them all. And it's quite interesting to look back and see that kind of confusion. Anyhow, so Srila Gurudev came to Seattle at the time, and I was thinking, well, I think he's supposed to be my Gurudev because, well, he's the guru of my wife. That was the depth of my level of surrender, if you want to call it that, at the time. And I even told him, I said, I'm not sincere, and I was feeling like I'm denser than a brick. So, after the kirtan, he was speaking, and he was having Shyamarani Didi, Jadurani, read from our Srila Prabhupada's commentaries on Nectar of Instruction, Śrī Upadeshamrita by Rupa Gosvāmī. And she was reading the verse and the translation and the purport. And then she would read one line or even one word, and Gurudev would say, stop. And then he would say something. I remember watching him, looking at him, thinking, if you're supposed to be my guru, well, what does guru mean anyway? It's like, what am I supposed to be getting from this? And I was watching his lips. I'm like, okay, so Guru Mukha Padma Vakya, Chitte Te Koriya, I'm like, something's going to purify me. Am I going to have a thought or something? And I was just watching, looking at him. And then I had just read that book in university. Instead of studying for my classes, I was reading devotional books in the library because I tend to do the thing I'm not supposed to do, I guess, at least back then. Or the thing I was supposed to do. I wasn't too thrilled being in university. And so I had read Upadeshamrita a few times. And then Gurudev was sitting there, and he was speaking, and he was breaking it down, one word practically at a time. And he said, here, when Swamiji is saying when, in this place, he doesn't mean this, he means this. And I was completely confused. I was like, I never would have thought of that on my own. And I was thinking, what does Guru do? What does he do? What makes Guru versus anyone else who's speaking? And suddenly it hit me like a hurricane. I was like, oh my God, he's making it make sense. He's translating that to me, and he's making it make sense. And it was quite impactful for me that when he was speaking, even though it was the same thing I was reading, I wasn't able to grasp anything. I wasn't able to go deep. I was skipping across the surface. You know, when you skip a rock and it bounces across the surface. And he just went straight down, deep, and he was extracting all of these beautiful jewels. And so, for me, that was very, very powerful. And so from that example, and from what Srila Gurudev told us personally, when he told us that we should start traveling and preaching on our own, in essence, without any other preacher, that we should do the preaching and inspiring on his behalf, we were very frightened, very frightened. And he said, oh, it'll be easy. Just read a little, speak a little. Read a little, speak a little. He said after a couple of weeks, it will be easy. It took a couple of years, but still, that's what his instruction was. In other words, read a little bit, and then what we have processed, go deep. And so Gurudev instructed us personally like that, and I find that it is definitely easier to have that be, I wouldn't say easier, but more concentrated, to have the structure of the subject at hand, and then read a little bit, and then dive into that. And what I've heard from Srila Gurudev, what I have read from Vaishnavas, from Srila Prabhupada, from Saraswati Thakur, then those can manifest by their mercy. So I just wanted to share that as context. You're so funny. Okay. Srila Prabhupada once explained that one may make many superficial drilling holes in a field and miss the reservoir underneath. But if one drills deep enough in one place, one will eventually access the entire reservoir. I was remembering once, it was Srila Govinda Mahārāja was telling one devotee, that devotee was going from one Vaishnava to the next, to the next, to the next, but his mind was very scattered. And he would take a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit here, a little bit there, but he wasn't staying with one. And Srila Govinda Mahārāja told him, you're digging so many wells, but you're not digging deep, you will never hit water. And then he started saying, the Ganga is here! Why are you even digging wells? The Ganga is here! So, if we dig deep, then we can hit that water, we can receive that nectar. So Srila Gurudev himself was doing that. He would just take one or two words and he would go so deep and open it up and explain it. And he's my inspiration. So, before Damodarāṣṭakam, we're going to light the lamp. Sorry. Śrī Dāmodara ki jai. Śrī Radha ki jai. Radha Vino Bihari Ju ki jai. Sachinandana Gaur Hari ki jai. Giriraj Mahārāja ki jai. Shalagram Shila ki jai. Laddu Gopal ki jai. Chotta Chotta Laddu Gopal ki jai. So page 290, 290. Namamishwaram Sachidanandarupam Asatkundanam Gokule Brajamanam Yashodabhiyorukha Ladhavo idam te mukhabojam avyaktanilay vritam kundalay snigdharaktaishtakopya muhushtum vitam vimma raktadharam me manasya vilastam valam lakshalakar namami sharam sachidanandarupam lasatkundalam gokule brajaman namo devo damodarānanda vishnu prasita prabho dukajala bhimanam kripadrishti deshyati dinam vatan grihani shamamavyam devyakshitishya namami sharam sachidanandarupam lasatkundalam gokule brajaman kuderatmajo vadha murtyaiva yadvan tvayamocito bhakti bhajo kritocha tata prema bhaktin swakame prayacha namo shagraho nesti damodare namami sharam sachidanandarupam lasatkundalam gokule brajaman namaste sudame suraditi dhamne todiyodamrayatho vishvasya dhamne todiyodamrayatho vishvasya dhamne namo radhikaya tvadiya priyaya namo radhikaya tvadiya priyaya namo nandalinayo devaya namo nandalinayo devaya namo radhikaya tvadiya priyaya 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 namo nandalinayo devaya namo nandalinayo devaya Damodara radha damodaro damodaro radha damodaro radha damodaro radha damodaro damodaro radha damodaro jai radha damodaro radha damodaro radhe radha damodaro radha damodaro Shri Radha Damodara ki jai, Śrī Dāmodarāṣṭakam ki jai. Sudevi,
Yes.
were you saying something?
No.
Oh, maybe it was the conch shell blowing. I thought Sudevi was saying
Yeah,
something.
bring down for the last lady.
Okay. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Jai Jai Radha Ramana Hari Bol, 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 Radha Ramana Hari Bol, Jai Jai Radha Ramana Hari Bol, Jai Jai Radha Ramana Hari Bol, Pyaro Radha Ramana Hari Bol, Radha Ramana Hari Bol, Jai Jai Radha Ramana Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Shri Gurudev ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Rupan Gauri Guruvarga ki jai, Patit Pavan Shri Nityananda Prabhu ki jai, Prem Purushottam Sachinandana Gaura Hari ki jai, Radha Vino Bihari Ju ki jai, Radha Ramana Ju ki jai, Giriraj Mahārāja ki jai, Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, Hare Krishna Mahamantra ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Gaura Premanande, Hare Hare. Sudevi, can you please bring me some more water? Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaya Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha Ajnanatimidandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Śrīmad Bhaktivedānta Nārāyaṇa Namine Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedānta Swāmini Namine Panchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitānaṁ Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Tatkripatamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam. First of all, I offer my Dandava Pranam thousands of times in the dust of the lotus feet of our beloved Gurudev, Nitya Lila Pravishta Vishnupad, Ashto Tarashata Shri Śrīmad Śrīla Bhaktivedānta Nārāyaṇa Gosvāmī Mahārāja. And the same thousands of Dandava Pranam in the dust of the lotus feet of Nitya Lila Pravishta Vishnupad, Ashto Tarashata Shri Śrīmad Śrīla Bhaktivedānta Swāmī Śrīla Prabhupada, and to all of our Rupanuga, Gauriya, Guru Varga, and to all Vaishnavas past, present, and future, including all of you who are present with us today, I offer my Dandava Pranam. Sudevi? Dandava Pranam, Radhe Radhe, Radhe Shyam.
Radhe 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 Shyam, Dandava Pranam, Dear Vaishnavas.
There you go.
Sorry, I'm just lying here. I didn't remember.
So we already spoke the introduction in between the bhajans, Gaur bhajans, Guru bhajans. So we will now continue with this wonderful transcendental literature treasure, Śrī Dāmodarāṣṭakam. I recommend you keep this on your bookshelf. Actually, don't just keep it on your bookshelf, read it continuously. There was something that I was remembering, maybe even earlier when we were speaking, because so many do what is called Bhagavat Saptaha, means reading Śrīmad Bhagavatam in 7 days. But there's no one necessarily who's been cursed to die within 7 days. Mahārāja Parikshit was. He had 7 days left to live. But for most people, we kind of plan to live longer. And Srila Prabhupada, A.C. Bhaktivedānta Swami Prabhupada said, why only 7 days? Śrīmad Bhagavatam says, Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Eternally, always, reading Śrīmad Bhagavatam. So he instituted that every day, a verse from Śrīmad Bhagavatam would be read, and then the commentary would be read, and it would be thoroughly discussed. And so, there is no end to reading and studying transcendental scripture. It is actually non-different from the Lord himself, and it awards all kinds of benediction. It is called Shastriya Sadhu Sangha, associating with the Shastra. So we get that kind of association through the medium of their words. And when the opportunity presents itself to actually hear from the living sadhu, then one must take advantage of that opportunity. For example, we all had Srila Prabhupada's books in our homes. Pretty much that was about it. And when Srila Prabhupada would come to the temple, although we could have read his purports at home, we all ran to the temple to hear him lecture on his own purports. In other words, it is the pure devotee who reveals the jewels from within, and more jewels can be revealed. So, in the absence of the physical presence of the pure devotee, then we take advantage of those pure devotees in the form of their words, their teachings, their Vani. So, this is Śrī Dāmodarāṣṭakam. I was thinking when I was telling you, don't keep it on your shelves. There was one devotee, I won't tell you where he was, and we noticed when we went to his home that he had all of the books inside of their plastic on the shelf. And we were like, well, that's very interesting. He's like, yes, I've had them like this for years. And we said, but you don't read them? He said, you don't understand. He said, You know that when you first open it, the first time you open a book, that smell?
I said, oh, the smell.
He's like, that smell, the smell of the ink, I guess, when you first open a new book. So he liked to keep all of his books on the shelf in their original plastic wrap. And we just thought that was so funny. That is not the purpose for the books. Our books should start looking like this. I hope that picture comes clear. Okay, it should come. There is maybe a little bit of a delay. There you go. So, the books, the purpose for the books is for us to dive deeply into, to study, to make part of ourselves, to make one with our hearts, so that if any question were ever to be asked to us, or if we are to think about or discuss any subject, immediately reference from Shastra should manifest. It should be that way. That's why Krishna is linking himself to all kinds of things in this material world, so that when you see those things, immediately you can think of Krishna. Instead of just looking at Mount Everest and thinking, wow, that is high, we can think of mountains. I am the Himalayas. Krishna said that. Look at that amazing lion. Oh, beasts, I am the lion. Like that, everything should bring us to have our consciousness saturated with Krishna. And so by reading, by studying, by absorbing ourselves in the scriptures and in the words of our acharyas and guru varga, instead of all of the mumbo jumbo, all of the temporary nonsense that is presented as truth in the material world. It's all temporary. It's not really real truth. It's got some leanings in different directions, but because of its temporary nature, it's not really going to help us, especially at the time of death. Because if our absorption is not in Krishna and in things directly related to Krishna and in serving Krishna and his tadiya, his devotees, then where will our consciousness be? And where will our absorption be? And when the end of our life comes, if we're not absorbing ourselves in Krishna and Krishna Katha and Sadhu Sangha and everything related to Krishna in our waking hours, then what are we going to think about when we're leaving this world? What kind of thoughts, what kind of impressions will be flooding our minds and hearts? Our favorite television shows? Our dogs? Our cats? The Rothschilds? The maskers or the anti-maskers or any of this stuff? It's not going to help us at the time of death. Donald Trump, who wants to meditate on him at the time of death? So, instead of meditating on all of that other stuff, if we keep our minds focused and meditating on transcendental subject matter, then if any question is ever asked to us, or if we think about anything, then we should immediately quote from Shastra. Srila Prabhupada said, Vaishnavas are Shastra chakshushaha. They see through the eyes of Shastra. The exceptions may be there. There are always exceptions. But, and it's big, that is not our process. Our process is not to concentrate and focus on the exception. Some people take the exception and make that their process. Well, Chaitanya Charitamrita is there, but there's a verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita that says all you need is Harinam. So we will throw out the rest and just keep that one verse. That's the harm that can come, because all of that is telling us really how to approach and serve Śrī Harinam Prabhu. So, following the instructions of Shri Guru, following the instructions of Vaishnavas, Guru, Sadhu, Shastra, then we can become grounded in consciousness of Krishna and thereby be or become Krishna conscious. And gradually, through that process, if one is thinking of and always meditating on and absorbing themselves in Krishna, what happens? Attachment will develop. Right? What happens in the material world? Krishna says, while contemplating the objects of the senses, one develops attachment for them. Anyone who knows that verse in Sanskrit, you definitely get a big chocolate cake with frosting and a cherry on top. While contemplating the objects of the senses, one develops attachment to them. And from that, lust develops. So this is in the material world. Exactly the same process, when applied to Krishna, brings one to perfection. So think about the definition or the meaning of that verse. Also, please post the translation to that. While contemplating the objects of the senses, one develops attachment to them. From attachment, from that comes lust. Then anger, delusion, bewilderment of memory, and then all intelligence is lost. Now look at it on the transcendental, because the same word is used, kama. Kama. In the material world, it means lust. In the transcendental realm, it is divine love. We have a Gayatri mantra known as Kama Gayatri, divine transcendental love, prem. So that same thing, but when applied to Krishna, brings one to perfection. While contemplating Krishna, one develops attachment to Krishna. From that attachment comes transcendental love. The desire or the tendency to please one's own senses or the senses of other persons in this world, this is known as lust. The tendency or the desire to please the transcendental senses of Krishna, this is known as prem. Atmendriya prativancha taribalikam krishnendriya prati icha dhare premanam. It is called prem. So from that, of course, we mentioned anger. Anger sometimes manifests. You might see that in the activities of Srimati Radhika, when she's manifesting man. But anyhow, from there, delusion, bewilderment of memory, and then all intelligence is lost. Sudevi just told the other day that beautiful katha that our Gurudev would speak regarding that young gopi who had darshan of Krishna for the first time. And he took his flute and like this, clicked it under her chin, turned and walked away. Stole her heart in that moment. Everything. Delusion, bewilderment of memory, all intelligence is lost. She wasn't able to even discriminate what she was doing, whether she was wrapping the rope around the baby or the pot or anything. So it's interesting that when you see these same ideals or ideas applied in the material sphere versus the spiritual sphere, one will bring one to the greatest degradation and the other one will bring us to the highest perfection. Ooh. Hey. Keshav Priya, Dhyayato Vishaya Pungsang, Sangasteshu Vijayate, Sangat Sanjayate Kama, Kamat Krodho Vijayate. And Jiva Pavana Prabhu posted the full shlok, but wow, amazing. While contemplating the objects of the senses, a person develops attachment for them. From such attachment, lust develops, and then from lust, anger arises. And it continues. So, okay, making sure. Thank you both very much. I don't even know why I was telling that. Oh, speaking about being conscious of Krishna. So if we absorb our minds and think about any mundane or material things enough, it forms an attachment, a bondage. Thinking, feeling, willing. First the thoughts are coming. Then the heart starts to move along with those thoughts. The willing means then you actually make an endeavor to manifest that. So first, just the thought, then the movement, and then what follows is the tendency to fulfill that desire. If we are thinking of Krishna constantly, then the feeling will start to manifest. What is that? Bhav. And then once that feeling is manifest and becomes so strong we can no longer contain it, then prem. So the goal of our sadhana, our thinking, is the feeling. That is bhav. kriti sadhya bhavet sadhya bhavasa sadhana vida nitya siddhasya bhavasya prakritam hridi sadhyataha. And then the goal of bhav is prem, divine transcendental love and affection. Shamarani Didi just sent me a voice message. We'll listen to it later. So, it's just exciting to receive a message. I've known her since, well, I was a baby, since I was born. She was also in Los Angeles, and I've known her since then. And she's always been very kindly tolerant of me, and also very affectionate and helpful, and really holding tightly to the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada and Srila Gurudev, and so she's also my mentor. So now, we want to enter into this beautiful transcendental treasure known as Śrī Dāmodarāṣṭakam. This is manifested from the heart of Śrī Satyavrata Muni. It's his own progressive realization over millions of years, which gradually was placed in Padma Purana by Śrī Dāmodara. And then, in this version, it is commented on by Śrīla Sanātana Gosvāmī, and then that commentary is translated by our Param Gurudev Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj with his own bhav commentary injected within that. And then there's a further commentary by our Srila Gurudev Srila Bhaktivedānta Nārāyaṇa Goswami Maharaj. So it is depths and layers of transcendental treasure, each one with so many different jewels to discover and to examine and to relish. Why do I say relish? Because it's unavoidable. Tushyanticha Ramanticha. Because Krishna himself is Akila Rasamrita Murti. He is the embodiment of all transcendental ras and nectar. So it is a natural consequence of absorbing oneself in remembering and serving Krishna's names, forms, qualities, and pastimes that nectar will manifest. So before entering into this beautiful treasure, we will pray to these personalities in the words of Sri Raghunath Das Goswami. Vairāga Juga Bhakti Rasam Prayatnaya Apayana Mam Anubipshamandam Kripam Budirgyapara Dukuduki Sanatanastam Prabhum Ashrayami. Begging in the dust of their lotus feet that may even a particle of their moods, which are present within these pages, manifest itself within our hearts. And we're continuing with our Srila Gurudev Bhaktivedānta Nārāyaṇa Gosvāmī Mahārāja's commentary on verse 4. Varam deva moksham na mokshavadim va na chanya brinneham vareshadapiha idam deva purnatha gopalavaram sada me manasya virashtam kimanyai Namamishwaram Sachidanandarupam Lasat Kundalam Gokule Brajamanam. So, yesterday we were reading from Srila Gurudev, and he was speaking about the difference between Vaidhi Bhakti and Raganuga Bhakti. Vaidhi Bhakti. This is bhakti or devotion to the Lord, which is based on or driven by, motivated by duty. Also fear, but duty. The scriptures prescribe that I should do this, so I must follow this. If I don't, then there may be some negative consequence like suffering in any hellish condition. So out of fear, if I don't do the right thing, I can get in trouble, so I will do that. When I was young, I'm sorry I have to tell this, it's just kind of funny. In Gurukul, I was a very, very good student. Not always, but in when we were in Gurukul in California, in Bhaktivedānta village, I was, you could say, gifted the award. I got a medal called the Vyasadeva Award for being the best kid in the school. I was about 8 years old at the time. And the headmaster, my father told me this, the headmaster complained to my father, "I think there's something wrong with your son." My father said, "What do you mean? What's wrong?" And he said, "Well, all the other kids, they're always getting, into trouble and doing all kinds of nonsense activities, but he's like, something might be missing because he's just good." And my father told me that he asked me, like, "What's going on? Is everything okay? Why are you like this? All the other kids are getting up to trouble and and I just told him, "I don't like to get hit." And he said, "Well, that's not the sign of someone who's got mental problems. That's just a sign of smartness, I guess." So, but I was being good because I didn't want to get hit. So that was being good out of fear. I was doing my duty and doing the right thing out of fear because I didn't want to get hit. I wasn't being good because I wanted to be good. Just because spontaneously I was good. I was being good because I didn't want to get hit. So that's like Vaidhi Bhakti. We're doing it because we don't want to get the punishment of not doing it. So the love that you can say is in that, or the mood, is not really pure. It's kind of mixed with something else. It's not the real thing. It's not the real thing. And so Vaidhi Bhakti is compared to that kind of mood in the scripture. And in Chaitanya Charitamrita it says, love is made feeble, weak by that. Because it's not pure, spontaneous, unmotivated. There's a motivation for that. Motivation meaning something for me. I don't want any negative consequence, so therefore I will do it. So that is how Vaidhi Bhakti has been defined in our scriptures. And it's not that one shouldn't do that. For now we must do that as a practice. Like putting training wheels on your bicycle when you're young. If you don't do it in the beginning, then you'll just keep falling over and getting hurt. So it is necessary to have those training wheels. But then once you have developed that ability, you can lift those training wheels and actually learn how to balance. And then one day you might be able to ride with no hands, or ride a unicycle, or jump from one hill to another in your bicycle and do flips and whatever. You'll become so spontaneous and natural with it that you don't have to think about it anymore. But in the beginning, we need that, the training wheels. And for us, that would be like Vaidhi Bhakti. Oh, come on. Sorry about that. I only got hit once at that time. I was really naughty. And then I didn't want to get hit anymore. Okay. So I was just looking for the definition of Vaidhi Bhakti, which is mentioned here, what Srila Gurudev directly said. Okay, the path of strict adherence to scriptural regulations based on fear. That is Vaidhi Marg. And the other hand, when the same limbs of bhakti, means it's the same external activity. The same limbs of bhakti are performed in Ragamarg, that is the path of spontaneous love. They enable the sadhaka to reach the abode of Vrindavan, where they attain loving service to Sri Krishna. So, Srila Gurudev Bhaktivedānta Nārāyaṇa Gosvāmī Mahārāja is continuing with speaking about the difference between this Rag Bhakti and Vaidhi Bhakti, but now he's going deeper into what Raga Bhakti is. And so he was speaking about Raga Nuga Bhakti means following in the path of that person who is an eternal associate of Krishna in Vrindavan. They are known as Ragatmika Jan, those personalities who are spontaneously flowing in perfect love and affection for Krishna, his eternal associates in Vrindavan. And so, if we are following in the wake of their particular moods of loving service, as has been directed, I'm not going to use the word dictated, but directed by Sri Guru, who is able to see the nature of our Atma, its inherent particular nature, the potential of that particular soul. What is the nature of your relationship with Krishna? Oh, this is what it is. So you should follow this path and take association of those personalities and the moods of their relationships with Krishna that can nourish your intrinsic inherent mood. So I'm just going to read this paragraph again from yesterday. The topmost example of anurag, incessant, deep, loving attachment for Sri Krishna, only exists in the hearts of the Vrajabasis. The devotee should meditate on the associates of his beloved Lord Krishna, who have the same mood for which he aspires. Furthermore, he should remain absorbed in hearing, chanting, and remembering the names and pastimes of Sri Krishna in Vraj that are conducive to his own particular mood. So that should be the main focus of absorption. What is conducive for one's individual, intrinsic, particular mood. Each devotee should reside in Braj Mandal, Tishthan Braje, following the associate who shares his own favorite mood, Tad Anuragi Jananugami, in the matter just described. So this is almost like a perfect translation of the 8th verse of Sri Upadeshamrita, Nectar of Instruction. Tad Namarupa Charitari Suchittananu Smrityo Kramena Rasanam Anasinyojya Tishtan Braje Tad Anuragi Jananugami Kalam Nayat Akilam Ityupadeshasaram. So from that, we're going to continue with what Srila Gurudev was discussing. Those who aspire for a mood of friendship with Sri Krishna should follow the footsteps of his companions such as Śrī Dām and Subal. So there must be a sadhana for those who are aspiring for Sakya Bhav. So one would associate with those who have that eternal inherent relationship with Krishna and those who are following that path. Then, for those who desire to have parental affection for him, they should follow Sri Nanda and Yashoda. So if that's the nature of your soul, to serve with a parental mood, Vatsalya Prem, your Sthayi Bhav, then you will naturally take association. Krishna will direct you. Krishna will direct it. Dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayantite. For one who wants to connect with me in love and devotion, Tesham satata yuktanam. Yuktana means to connect. Yukta. Bhajatam priti purvakam. Always absorbing oneself in love and affection completely to me. Then I will give them that understanding. I will give them the facility. I will give what you lack. He even says this, ananyaschintayantamam. It doesn't only mean for material things. What you need, I will provide that. Dadami buddhiyogam tam yenamam upayantite. I will give them the ability or the understanding by which they can come to me. So if one is truly sincere, crying to Krishna from their heart, praying, Krishna will arrange guru. This is how you know that Krishna has heard your prayer. Srila Gaur Govinda Maharaj said this. How do you know? Or was it Gurudev, Sudevi?
Say it again.
You will know that Krishna has heard your prayer when Sri Guru stands in front of you. Was that Gurudev or Srila Gaur Govinda Maharaj?
It was Srila Gaur Govinda Maharaj. No, Srila Gurudev.
Srila Gurudev.
But Srila Gaur Govinda Maharaj says that everything Krishna wants to tell you, he's telling you.
Through the mouth.
Yes,
of Guru.
of Sri Guru. So both of them said it. Gurudev said that specific way, and Srila Gaur Govinda Maharaj said it that other way. Same thing. Same wine, new bottle.
So when you're crying to Krishna for mercy, Krishna's mercy appears to you in the form of Sri Guru. That is Krishna Kripa Sri Murti. He diagnoses your condition and directs you accordingly. What is the nature of your Atma, and what are the things holding you back from moving forward? You need to cut this, you need to cut that, you need to cut this, you need to accept that. So these are the instructions of Guru for us to awaken our own true inherent potential. And he will arrange for that association. Guru will direct us. This is by the mercy of Krishna. Guru Krishna Prasade Pai, Bhakti Lata Beach, means this intrinsic inherent tendency, inclination to love and serve Krishna in a particular mood. This will be awakened in our heart, and then the necessary association will manifest naturally, spontaneously, and miraculously. The necessary association. We've seen this also with Gop Kumar. Narada Muni kept coming and then directing him, go forward, go forward, go forward. You won't be satisfied here. This is not for you. Go forward. So Guru can recognize that, and Guru can help. And finally, you associate with those particular kinds of persons who have that bhav, who have that mood that your Atma is aspiring for. And that will bring you to that point. So here Srila Gurudev is telling, and those who hanker for conjugal love with Sri Krishna should follow Sri Lalita, Sri Vishaka, and so on. What about those who hanker for Radha Dasyam? Who should they aspire to associate with? I'm waiting for your answers. That one gets a pineapple upside down cake. Kishori Mohan's famous pineapple upside down cake.
Worth it.
Sudevi said it's worth it. Even if you're on a diet, you will break it for that. See, Lalita, Vishaka, Chitra, Champaklata, all of them are gopis who also have their own relationship with Krishna. But those who are Radha Dasyam, there's a little bit of a speciality there. So we see actually those are the words of Srila Gaur Govinda Maharaj, spontaneously and miraculously. So if one is aspiring for, come on, I'm waiting for the other answer. If one is aspiring for the mood of friendship with Krishna, like the cowherd boys, then they should associate with and follow the moods of Śrī Dām, Subal, etc. Those who are aspiring for Vatsalya Prem, parental love and affection, should follow Nanda, Yashoda, and those who are of that mood. Those who are aspiring for conjugal love with Krishna should follow Lalita, Vishaka, and so forth. Those who are aspiring for Radha Dasyam, Haripriya Dasi, very good. Shri Rupa Manjari Pada, Rupanuga, yes. You associate with and follow the moods of those who are the dasis of Srimati Radhika. Just makes sense, doesn't it? Srila Gurudev would always say, if you need something, then you must approach someone who has that something. If you need $5, then you can approach someone who has $5. They can give it to you. But if you need $1 million, What can that one give you? They can only give you 5. In other words, they can't satisfy you with what they have. So if you need a particular thing, you have to approach someone who has that particular thing. That is the meaning of Tishkan Braje Tad Anuragi Jananugami. Following that personality who has that particular mood that can nourish your intrinsic particular mood and bring you to perfection. Very good. Very good. Hey, I think today might be Vasudev's birthday. I saw something online. Anup Krishna said happy birthday, Prabhu, on his Pure Cow Seva. Can you check for me, Sudevi? Bernd Newison, I don't know how to pronounce that name properly. Thus, each devotee, according to his own mood, should immerse himself in the pastimes of Sri Krishna and live in Braj, Tishtam Braje. Srila Rupa Goswami Pad has outlined this process of bhajan in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.2.294 to 295. Krishnam smaram janam chasya prishtam nija samihitam tat kataratas chaso kuryad vasam vraje sada. The devotee should constantly remember Sri Krishna along with the dearmost associates of Sri Krishna whom he chooses to follow. While permanently living in Braj, he should become attached to always hearing about them. Then in parentheses, if one is unable to live in Braj by body, then one should live in Braj by mind. Then the next one. Seva sadhaka rupena siddhurupena chatrahi tadbhava lipsuna karya vrajalokanu. He who has developed greed for ragatmika bhakti should closely follow in the footsteps of the particular associates in Braj, whose moods he aspires for. Under their guidance, he should engage in service both in his external form as a sadhaka, siddharupena chatrahi, and internally with his perfected spiritual body. So here we see twice mentioned whom he chooses to follow and whose moods he aspires for. This appears to show, based on just reading that translation, that it is about what we want, based on our desire. I like that, so I'm going to go for that. I like that, so I'm going to go for that. And let me change my mind. No, I like that. So this defies the idea of sthayi bhav, where you can just switch at will in essence. Oh, I want to be a cowherd boy. Oh, wait, I'm a cowherd boy. No, I don't want to be a cowherd boy anymore. Now I want to be a gopi. Now I want to be a parent. Now I want to be a servant like this. But there is something called sthayi bhav, and it is already fixed. I think we've gone through this quite a lot. That is the fixed foundational nature of one's eternal relationship with Krishna, which is inherent within the soul for all time. It is almost as if you can say it is our soul's DNA. It is what we are made for. When you say das, jivera swarupa hoy Krishna nitya das, it's not just blank. Das means service. Well, service implies a particular kind of service. Something. What is your service? What kind of mood? It's not just a general blob of and then, okay, that one is meant to be a servant, so let me impress upon you that now you're going to be a cowherd boy, and this one you're going to be a gopi and this and that. These ideas are presented, but not by our Guru Varga. Coming in Bhaktivedānta, they are not presented like that. Our Srila Bhaktivedānta Thakur, our Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, all of his disciples, our Srila Prabhupada, our Srila Gurudev, our Param Gurudev, our Srila Gaur Govinda Maharaj, all of them coming in Bhaktivedānta very strictly have established their understanding. And I'm saying their understanding because they are knowers and seers of the truth. And Srila Gurudev said, don't try to take your own understanding, take their understandings. There is another group which also is reading and studying the teachings of Rupa Goswami and Chaitanya Charitamrita and all of the same thing, but their claim very strongly is that it is not inherent within the soul and that it is given by Guru at the time of initiation. And if Guru makes a mistake, then he can change and give you something else. I remember Srila Gurudev laughing about that. We were at Kunj Bihari, Gauriya Math, just at Radha Kund. And Gurudev there would be on his megaphone, that loudspeaker, challenging so many who were present there outside. Come here and we will debate this subject. And he was laughing and he said, one moment they're saying, oh, you are Rasagula Manjari. And then he'll tell another one, you are Rasagula Manjari. And then one day, Rasagula Manjari will meet Rasagula Manjari and they say, hey, we're the same. They will realize and find out. And Gurudev was laughing about this idea. He said this idea is not proper. And actually I was reading, I believe in Bhakti Tattva Vivek by Srila Bhaktivedānta Thakur. He was saying that this idea is Mayavad. Just like Krishna, everything is already inherent within him. He is eternal. Also the jiva is eternal. Everything is inherent within it. It only needs to be awakened. Srila Prabhupada therefore says there's nothing to be had from an outside source. It only needs to be awakened. Nityasiddhasya bhavasya prakatyam hridi sadyataha. That it is awakened. And Srila Gurudev said it is not given from outside. I have a video clip of it somewhere on my timeline. He said, never and never is it given. Guru can detect the intrinsic nature, the potential. And by the association of Guru and Vaishnavas, that potential is awakened, but it is not given. It's not that something is superimposed onto good timing. So, yeah, that's the boatman, Kunji. Hare Krishna?
The boatman is calling.
Hare Krishna. Yes. The boatman was just posting me videos from Jamuna. Jamuna is calling. So, I don't know where it ended. Sudevi came out just in time to continue the stream. So I think I was telling that Bhaktivedānta Thakur was sharing. I believe it's either Tattva Vivek or Krishna Samhita. That to claim that the soul also does not have a nature, an individuality. This is also Mayavad, that it doesn't have it within itself. That everything is there in potential, it just needs to be awakened. So there's a very beautiful book which has been presented by many Vaishnavas actually working together. Shyamrani Didi manifested it. And it's called the Swarup of the Jiva. And it's all about this concept, taking all quotes from all of our acharyas and Guru Varga. And so there's two different schools of thought, but as those who are following in the line of Bhaktivedānta Thakur, in the line of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, in the line of Srila A.C. Bhaktivedānta Swami Prabhupada, our Param Gurudev Bhakti Pragyan Keshava Goswami Maharaj, all of our Guru Varga and Bhaktivedānta Dhara, if we disregard their conclusions and take our own conclusions, then in essence we are cutting the branch that we are founded on. So, it's not given from any outside source. So Srila Bhaktivedānta Thakur was saying in the same way that Krishna contains within him his nature and his form, his qualities, all of that. So the jiva, which is also eternal and immutable, unchangeable, that jiva, it also has its nature. What awakens that nature? Something awakens it. Just as fire awakens fire within wood, the fire is present there, but it's not yet manifest. It's there in potential. And by the presence of fire, that thing is awakened. So in a similar way, by the presence of the eternal associates of the Lord, Nitya Siddha Bhav, who have that eternal mood that we are intrinsically, inherently aspiring for, what is present within us will also awaken by that association. So, although we can read here, what we choose, whom he chooses to follow, who will we choose to follow? We will choose to follow according to the indication or direction of Shri Guru, who is a Tattva Darshi, who knows and sees the truth. They can see the nature of our soul and direct us accordingly on the path of sadhana to attain our particular perfection, which might not be the same as someone else's particular perfection. So their sadhana will be different. And then the next one says, whose moods he aspires for. Why would we aspire for it? Well, one would just be because that's what I like. I don't like the idea of being stuck at home, cooking and cleaning and pining for Krishna. I'd rather go play with him and hang out and feed him chili pakoras. And so from that...
say Sakyabhav does sound fun.
Yeah, so Sakyabhav sounds really fun. Friendship mood. So, you know what I'm saying? What I'm saying is that based on my own material desire and based on what I think is good and not, I can, in my mind, lower or denigrate the position of the gopis' love and affection because it doesn't sound like something I would like. But that's not bhakti, is it? It's not about what I like. It's about loving service to Krishna, what he likes, for his happiness, for his pleasure, for his benefit, and also according to my own intrinsic nature. So it is essential to be under guidance. That was one of the things regarding the question that was asked yesterday about Mira. Bhakti, by its nature, is constituted of being under guidance. Anugatya. Anyabhilashita shunyam jnana karmadhyanavartam anukulyena Krishna anushilanam bhakti uttama. This anu means also anugatya. So if that bhakti is not under guidance of Braj Rasik Ragatmika Jan, an eternal associate of Krishna who is full of love and affection for Krishna, and it is not under that guidance, then it cannot really manifest purely. So that is an essential characteristic. And along with the intense greedy desire for loving Krishna in any particular mood, whatever is beneficial and necessary for that to manifest would automatically be accepted into our process. And so, if anugatya is necessary of that ragatmika jan as part of that process naturally, then we would embrace that. That is part of our necessity to be under the guidance of any particular eternal associate of Krishna in Vrindavan for us to attain perfection. So now Rambar Prabhu asked a question. Not directly related to your katha. Oh, I've never heard of Gulab Jamun Manjari before, but anyhow, okay. Rasagula, Gulab Jamun. But Gulab Jamun Manjari, or whoever it was, reminded me, why is a devotee here getting a new name, like for example, Jadurani to Shyamarani? Sorry if this is a frequently asked question. It's a good question. And it is a very frequently asked question, especially to Shyamarani, Jadurani.
She's also Question Rani.
She is also Question Rani, so she has more than one nickname.
And I'm Sukhanti.
She has a nickname Shyamarani. She has a nickname Question Rani. We know someone who has a nickname Late Mahārāja. Right? And Gurudev also
I'll
nicknamed...
give anybody a pizza if they can figure out who it is.
Sudevi said she'll give anyone a pizza if they can figure out who that is. So,
I don't give Sukriti points, I give pizza.
She makes good pizza. So, Gurudev nicknamed her once Sukhanti. It means beautiful voice, beautiful throat. So, for our Srila Gurudev, because of his exclusivity of focus in his particular preaching, it's not that it is not the exclusivity of focus of all of our other Guru Varga, but in terms of general, you could say, preaching to the world, and then the refined conceptions of what Rupa and Raghunath are giving, there is a speciality. And so we see that so many devotees were given so many names. Jadu Rani literally means queen, Rani queen, and Jadu of the Yadu dynasty. And Gurudev's mood was always focusing on particularly Braj. So he gave the nickname, he didn't change her name, he didn't reinitiate her or anything, but he gave the nickname Shyama Rani, who is the queen of Shyam. That's a nickname or a name for Srimati Radhika, because that's Gurudev's particular absorption. So if you hear all of the names that he has given and initiated anyone, it was always Braj related or Gaur Leela related. Like he gave one devotee, they had one name, meant the doer, because Krishna says he is the doer, and Gurudev gave the nickname Gaur Priya, meaning near and dear, or dear to Gauranga. And so many others he gave nicknames to. Pran Kishore. Pran Kishore means the life of Kishore as Krishna, or that Krishna is life.
Oh, I think I got it.
Very good, Haripriya Didi Ki Jai. You get pizza from Sudevi. So, yes, in terms of giving nicknames, calling nicknames, there's no harm in that. He didn't reinitiate any of them. He only was calling them any nickname for his own purpose, for reminding himself and also for reminding them of Krishna, Vrindavan Krishna. But it's not undoing or reinitiating or anything. It's always glorifying their spiritual master, always glorifying everything he has given and glorifying him also in light of what his deeper true intention was, what he came to give. Gauravani Prachar. Right? Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini. So it's a very good question, and thank you for answering it. I was just reading what Jiva Pawan Prabhu wrote.
Funny, huh?
Mm-hmm. Is it? Oh, it's time. Okay. So I'm just going to read what Jiva Pawan Prabhu wrote. I once met a premi, a disciple of the Guru Mahāraji, the 15-year-old master who claimed to be Krishna. She said she had been initiated and was given the revealed identity of Mohini Murti. I happened to be distributing the Śrīmad Bhagavatam, which dealt with the entire pastime of Lord Shiva. I said, look, I just happened to have the book, which is all about you. She gave me a large donation and took the book at O'Hare Airport in Chicago. Oh, Hare. I was so glad I was initiated by Srila Prabhupada and that by his divine grace I understood things as they are. Laugh out loud. Yes. Srila Prabhupada was actually quite proud of the fact that his society wasn't known by his name. Most societies are known by the name of the spiritual teacher of that group. that Srila Prabhupada's society was known as either ISKCON, International Society for Krishna Consciousness, but it became popularly known by its nickname, the Hare Krishnas. So by that, so many were saying Hare Krishna and so much Agyata Sukriti was manifesting. Prabhupada was very, very happy about that. So with that, it's now time. So, Srila Gurudev ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Rupanuga Gauriya Guru Varga ki jai, Gaura Bhaktivedānta ki jai, Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Because we spoke earlier, in between the bhajans, and the bhajans went late, and class started late, and we've been going actually much later than we used to. But anyhow, it felt very short, but it was exciting, so thank you all. Hare Krishna, Jai Jai Śrī Radhe, Jai Jai Śrī Radhe, Jai Jai Śrī Radhe.
Shyam.
Gaura Premanande.
Hari Hari Bol.
Yes, I don't know, during the kirtan, the cricket was making noise.
And all night.
But he stopped now. So we've got some cricket.
We've got crickets.
Yes. But they need a place to live where it's warm enough because it's cold outside.
We shelter crickets here.
Thank you very much for being with us and giving us the opportunity to remember the beautiful teachings of our Srila Gurudev and our Guru Varga. Also, we feel indebted to each and every one of you for giving us the opportunity on a daily basis to follow the order of our Srila Gurudev. He said, even when I'm no longer on this sphere, I want that you continue traveling and preaching my mission and inspiring on my behalf. So you're giving us this opportunity to endeavor to to follow his order. And so for that, we feel indebted to you. We look forward to being with you all tomorrow. Dandavat Pranam. Hare
Dandavat
Krishna.
Pranam, dear
Radhe
Vaishnavas.
Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Shri Radha Vinu Bihari Ju ki jai.
Jai.
Shachinandana Gaura Hari ki
Ki
jai.